Hello. I'm not doing the howdy ho thing anymore because I've started to annoy myself. um, suppose I should come up with a proper one, but nah, I'll just wave. So hello. Um, yes, PS1 Collection A to Z. On to the P's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 P's. Do you like peas? I like peas. Do you like cheese? No. Um, my looks like my PS2 might have given up the ghost. It stopped reading discs, stopped recognising any discs. When I put a disc in, it just goes straight through to the sort of the browser screen, which I don't know. But I'll talk about that probably in my next pickups video. But that's why my old trusty grey box behind me is hooked up, because since I've been doing making these videos, if I've not played a game for a long time, I always sort of whack it in for sort of an hour or so just to sort of refresh my memory, and that's what I was going to do a couple of days ago. But then I discovered that no discs were being read, and I was like, oh bloody hell, shit. Which makes me think nuclear strike, because that's what was happening with nuclear strike. Makes me think maybe nuclear strike would have worked if it hadn't been for whatever. Don't know. Might have to get a new one. Oh, bloody hell. I've got on PS1, that works. That's fine. Bit sort of clanky and clunky and a bit like noisy, but otherwise, yeah. Right, P's. 11 games. Bit of a mix, not bad mix. Some decent games in here actually. First one. This is the one I first tried to test and it wouldn't work. But because I've not played it in a while, but it is a good game actually. It's a Pandemonium. Don't have Pandemonium 2. Where it's poking out, but the cover was poking out the box. Don't have Pandemonium 2. Why did it do that? That's really irritating. It's a 3D platform on 2D plane, I suppose, along the sort of comparable lines to something like Klonoa. Not as good as Klonoa, but if anything, probably more cinematic than Klonoa. Basically, you just run from left to right, and obviously it has sort of 3D backgrounds. It's all it's really colourful and really sort of dynamic and sort of cinematic. I mean, the camera is quite odd because it sort of zooms around and creates lots of really odd angles, but you're still basically running from left to right. But it actually works really well because it's sort of dynamic and it works really. It's the actual visual. It's really impressive, but it does take a bit of getting used to because you're still running from left to right, but the camera's all at weird angles. Sort of up, sort of down below, looking up, or sort of way up above. But no, it's it's a 2D platformer, really colourful. You play some sort of weird, creepy jester dude and a woman, and you've got. I've generally only really played it with a jester for some reason. Don't know why. And he's got a weird spin attack, and you can jump on people's heads, jump on enemies' heads. It's relative. It's not the easiest. Oh no, it is. It's not sort of difficult as such, but it sort of takes a little bit of getting used to, sort of the hit detection. But not that it's off. It's just sort of it feels slightly different from other platformers. Although obviously, people out there might sort of beg to differ. But it's colourful. Can't remember the plot. No, don't think it's got one really. Just Pandemonium. That's just crazy. It's Pandemonium. It's I mean, I think the biggest selling point is the sort of the weird sort of camera dynamics, which creates a sort of quite a particular feel to the game, because the cameras, like I said, the cameras sort of swooping all over the place. But sometimes it's almost sort of top down, it's almost sort of bird's eye view. Other times it's it's sort of dead sort of centre as you're running from left to right. Well, it's weird, but I do enjoy it. I don't know what the second game's like. Like I said, I would like to get that. Did I really say enough about that game? I think I did, I don't know. All right, on to the next one. Panzer General. Yeah, this is the first game in the series. Certainly, first game in the series, the sequel. It's all got really fucking dark. Bloody camera on this computer, really shit. Panzer General, yeah, this is the first game in the series. The one I've already showed came in the A's was Allied General. That was the sequel. This is the original game. They're pretty much the same sort of game, just sort of drier than dry, sort of statistics based tactics, with hexagonal grid maps for sort of moving your troops around and stuff like that. Yeah, see if I show you a little. There you go, look. But in this instance, you play a Panzer General rather than Allied General. I mean, obviously you're playing the bad guys, but at the same time, they did seem to have all the best stuff. Like Panzers, if I remember rightly, were the best tanks, and I think they were superseded by Tigers, I think. And I don't know what I'm talking about. But maybe it's just maybe they thought they've got the best stuff. Let's make a tactics game out of it. But then they realised, hang on, we're playing the bad guys. We don't play the bad guys. So they made a sequel where you could play as the Allies because people wanted to play as the Allies. I always play as bad guys, but not good guys in games. Not that that's relevant, but Paraphil Wrapper, probably the first rhythm action game I ever played. Again, it's another one that I played the demo, and just loved it. Well, no, actually, loved it in a certain sense. I mean, me and rhythm action games have got certain rhythm action games have got a love-hate relationship. I mean, for me, they have to have the sort of the charm, a lot of charm to the game, and a lot of personality. And Paraphil Wrapper has it. Something like Guitar Man has it as well. There are others. I mean, I don't. When it comes to things like Guitar Hero, I sort of. I generally struggle anyway, but it has to have the personality with something like Paraphil Wrapper, the presentation to go with it. For me to really draw me in, because I think I've mentioned in the past, when it comes to rhythmic button presses or timed button presses, I really struggle. I always thought I had good rhythm. But when it comes to video games, my rhythm is fucking shit. Even proper sort of really basic really basic time button presses. I don't know. I think I'm doing it right, but apparently I'm not. But Paraphil Wrapper is exactly the same. But persevere, and I get there in the end. But I just love the visuals. Love that weird sort of. They're all like, I can't really describe the sort of style of the visuals. All the characters are flat, aren't they? But then it's a 3D game, so you can, from the side, they all look like sort of like a flat like paper. It's really odd, but that's part of the personality. And I love the sort of the range of characters in this. All the weird, just a rapping dog and is there a flower? Yeah, and a frog, and obviously the Kung Fu Onion. Who could forget the Kung Fu Onion? Spitting on screen again. Yeah, this doesn't come with a manual. It comes with a poster, weirdly. But so obviously sometimes you buy these and they don't have the manual or the poster because people have put the poster on their walls. But Yeah, probably one of my favourite rhythm action games. But then again, like I said, me and rhythm action games have a love-hate relationship. Parasite Eve 2. I don't know why we didn't get Parasite Eve. We often seem to get shortchanged in Power Regions. I mean, they always seem to not give us certain games in a series. This is another one. Why don't they give us Parasite Eve? I think Parasite Eve is the original game, slightly different. This is mostly survival horror, but survival horror with RPG elements, like you have sort of leveling up and stuff, and experience, and you can sort of buy weapons and stuff to augment yourself with armor and stuff. But yeah, what's the plot? Again, I've not played this in a while. You're part of a sort of FBI group called Mist. There's some sort of paranormal, like sort of not the paranormal. I don't know. Is it paranormal? Is that the right word? But well, at the beginning of the game, you go into an apartment, not apartment, like an office block, and the SWATs have already been sent in. And then when you turn up, you find all the SWATs have been massacred, and by these weird, I think they're sort of engineered monsters who can shapeshift, and they can sort of look like humans. But yeah, I suppose. Suppose again, it's another one of those ones that has sort of inspired by the original Resident Evil, because it has a very similar look to it. I think the combat's more dynamic. I think the camera's slightly more dynamic. It has a but the combat in particular is more dynamic, because you have to. It's almost you have a targeting reticle, and you can sort of chop and change between enemies. But it's actually really good. It's really enjoyable. There's a lot of story to it, but then, like I said, not that I can remember what the story is. I just think I like the fact that in this the organisation is called Mist. It's getting on my nerves. The organisation is called Mist, and it's pretty, it's like pretty close to stars. Is it? Could you say it's close to stars? I think it probably is, isn't it? But or same sort of thing, But yeah, I suppose you could call it sort of a survival horror, but with RPG elements. I think the original is more RPG than survival horror, but for some reason they obviously decided to tweak that. Pocket Fighter. Yeah, Pocket Fighter. I really enjoy this. It's sort of pared down, isn't it? It's pared down 2D 1-on-1 fighter, but I really enjoy it. It's but they're super deformed, aren't they? That's the word, isn't it? Super deformed. They're not kids. Like certain games have sort of child versions of well-known characters, don't they? Why does that do that? I'll hold it down here instead. But these are just sort of super deformed. I don't know, what was the appeal? Is it to appeal to sort of a different audience who prefer their sort of pared down, more cartoony fights, martial arts in a sort of a pared down kind of cartoony fashion? I don't know, but it feels really responsive. Obviously, it's a lot more basic than the standard Street Fighter games or any other sort of 2D games, but it feels more responsive and more cartoony, and it's hard to imagine who it appeals to, but I really enjoy it. It's not a massive roster of characters. I mean, there's sort of Capcom characters. I mean, the characters from lots of different Capcom fighters, but similar sorts of all the sort of standard moves. All the moves are in there. Just sort of the animations are slightly tweaked to make them look more cartoony. But it's not an expensive game, actually. Bizarrely, I always thought it would be quite an expensive game, but it's not. Right, there's a series of 3 here. This shouldn't take too long. We've got Point Blank 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. Not really played too much of this one because this is a relatively recent purchase. I've put it in for about an hour. They don't really differ that much. Personally, I don't think they do. I mean, other people might think that they do, or might think otherwise, but I don't think they vary that much. It's basically different mini games. They're sort of new mini games, redesigned mini games, because I suppose they can. That's because the core game is so enjoyable, but then if you play it enough, you eventually get to know each of the games, don't you? So I suppose don't vary the formula too much, just to redesign new wacky mini games, because they're so random. They're random in nature, aren't they? And that's part of the appeal. I prefer this sort of random shooters to. I mean, the people who made them, Namco, have similar styles in things like Rescue Shot and Ghoul Panic. But hold it down there. But I prefer the random nature of these, just because I like the way that the game tells you what you need to do and just sort of throws you straight into it, and then it's sort of in bite-sized chunks, and it could be as simple as shooting a falling leaf with one bullet, or it can be sort of a minute's worth of just anarchy. But yeah, I've got a feeling this one might be a bit iffy, because last time I used it, which was actually on my PS1, it was having troubles. I was having a bit of trouble. But yeah, Point Blank 1, 2, and 3. I love those games. Obviously, I love 1 and 2 more than 3, because I've not played 3 that much. But I imagine if I did play 3 more as much as I have played 1 and 2, I would love 3 as well, because they don't really vary that much, do they, if you're honest. Right, only last 3. Porsche Challenge. Porsche Challenge is a really good video, actually, by one of my favourite YouTubers who doesn't make videos anymore. It's just tragic. I think he made videos for about a year or 6 months or something. It's called Laser Frog. It's basically sort of video about particular games, and he just sort of starts off with this really monotone, sort of downbeat voice talking about the game, and then just veers off at weird tangents. But it's always sort of uses the sort of a game as a starting point. And he's got a Porsche Challenge one, and he talks about starts off talking about the game in this sort of almost like stream of consciousness, and then sort of veers off talking about this future dystopia where people are only ever allowed to drive Porsche Boxsters. It's not a bad driving game. It just feels a bit slow. This was a game I had when I originally had my PS1. Traded in and then felt a bit slightly guilty and got back, and it's okay. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't feel the fastest game, and you only get to drive Porsche Boxsters, and I think there aren't that many tracks. There might even be one that has sort of closed sections that open up at certain points in the game. I quite like the AI, the aggressive. The AI is pretty aggressive, and I always appreciate aggressive AI in a driving game. It just makes the experience more fun. But draw distance is okay, not brilliant. But it's an entertaining driving game. I don't think there's too much depth in it. I mean, obviously you have choice of one car, and at the same time it does feel like a massive marketing, almost like trying, because if obviously you're going to be, it's aimed at a certain group of people who can't necessarily buy themselves a Porsche Boxster. Maybe it's trying to breed a future Porsche Boxster owner or a Porsche owner. I don't know, but but it definitely feels a bit like a massive sort of long-term marketing ploy. Penultimate one, Power Diggers. I really like this. It's just silly. It's about digging. It's one of these sort of one of these games with the typical Japanese sense of humour, the wacky sense of humour, and the sort of wacky presentation. But you just dig stuff. You have to do digging mini games, tasks involving digging. As simple as that. I enjoy it. I mean, don't let anybody tell you it's shit. I mean, it's basically coordinated button presses. I mean, you have your digger, and then and you press a certain button to lift the arm, and you have to you press sort of left or right to swing round, and then sort of you have to drop the bucket or drop the arm, and then scoop the bucket and up and like that. And it's all about sort of pressing buttons in the right order in order to do certain amount of digging and to dig certain things. But it's really good fun. I mean, bit of a guilty pleasure maybe, I don't know, but I mean, it has all these sort of wacky extras to it. Like there's one game you can scoop curry. I mean, you know, what's better than scooping curry in a big digger to make a massive curry? Oh, what the fuck is that? Got bogies in my game. Yeah, I don't know where that came from. Project Overkill. Yeah, this is the last one. Isometric is isometric. Yeah, it is actually isometric. What is it? I always remember when I did architecture, there's isometric, which is 45 degrees, or there's axonometric, which is 60 degrees. Yeah, 3 angles of 60, I think, is it? I can't remember. But anyway, no, isometric run and gunner with heavy emphasis on the violence and the blood. Obviously, you know, you probably pretty much tell by cover, can't you? You get a choice of characters. Can't remember the plot. You get a choice of these characters, and you just have to basically go and shoot people. The main characters. No, it's actually 4 characters. All sort of differ slightly. I thought it was 3, but there's actually 4. It's good fun. Preference probably be slightly more anarchic loaded, but I mean the targeting in this feels slightly. Yeah, it takes getting used to because it's not perfect. I mean, you sort of like 8-way shots, but sometimes it's difficult to target enemies, and it's a difficult game to begin with because I don't know. I mean, sort of ammo's in short supply. It feels like, but maybe that's just because I need to be a bit more prudent. Is that the right word? No, a bit more economical with my gunfire. I tend to spray. Anyway, that's the peas. Oh fuck! That is the peas. That's the peas. That's the peas. What we got here? Project Overkill, Power Diggers, Push Challenge, Point Blank, 1, 2, 3, Pocket Fighter, Parasite Eve, Paraphil Wrapper, Panzer General, and Pandemonium. There you go. Right. There's only one queue, so that'll be a nice. Don't know how I'm going to do that. One queue. I'm going to do it. It's going to get its own video. I could have stuck it on the end of this, but a little bit OCD. Each letter gets its own video. There will be more videos. I'll do that sometime soon because that'll take 2 seconds. Famous last words. So thanks for watching and looking out for the cues. See you later.